speculation.
The Russians, of course, lied about it. But Richard, again, let's just talk about how pathetic, how vile, how heartless Vladimir Putin is in these attacks.
Desperate.
He's gotten to the point now. Well, so I mean, I don't know if he's just stupid as hell. I mean, he's turned the entire country against him. There was at one point a split between those who were pro-Russian and those who were pro-Ukrainian and wanted to go west. But here, let's just be very clear. He's now killing people who are Russians, ethnically, killing people who speak Russian, killing the very people who should be inviting him into their region. He's just talk about, his war crimes are just turning him into the mortal enemy of even people who should have been his allies.
Yeah, this isn't an aberration. This is his strategy. This is purposeful. He is out to destroy the spirit of the country. He's out to depopulate the eastern areas of the country. And again, this is not somehow an exception. This is exactly what it's about. Obviously, these are war crimes, but it's part of a larger strategy.
Well, that's what I don't understand. If he wants to depopulate, why doesn't he just let them go?
Well, again, because part of this is to break the will and the backbone of Ukraine, to basically say you will not be a viable country. Again, that's what began this war. He didn't want Ukraine to succeed, to represent a Slavic country which was democratic with fundamental ties to Europe. Because if that took hold, if that succeeded, what about the Slavic people of Russia? Why couldn't they have a real democracy in a country where they could participate? So he is out to destroy the idea of Ukraine as well as the reality of Ukraine.
He's lost the narrative war, though. The fact that he's so much on the defensive, and Ukrainians have really persevered in giving the world the idea that they have a fighting chance, which they do, and the momentum, the battlefield momentum, how could it change over the next 2 weeks? For if the Ukrainians had a moment, if they could really marshal some strength, if we gave them what they needed, could they have the moment that finally yielded a blow to the Russian psyche here?
Well, we're going to look. There's two wars. There's his war against the Ukrainian cities and people. There's the Ukrainian war against the Russian army. Right now, though, you're right. The next couple of weeks are going to be critical because what we're going to do is see a war of mass. The Russians are massing in the east. The question is whether the Ukrainians can counter it. That's why you're hearing all this talk now about arm Ukraine. There's a sense that we're going to have big battles that we haven't yet had because, again, you've had two wars. Now it might come together largely in one war. So I think, quite honestly, between now and the end of April, it could be critical.
It could be. And I will tell you, and maybe it's just the old neocon in me. I don't know. But I really do. Lushenko's opening his mouth, talking about he has to be part of the peace process. I think now's the time for Zelensky to say, you know what, you have two choices. You can stay out of the war, or we're going to kill the Russians, and then we're going to cross the border. We're going to start teaming up with your resistance. We're going to start blowing up your infrastructure. We're coming after you, Lushenko. We're looking at you, Lushenko. You keep at this. And you're not going to be in charge of your little country anymore. Your dictatorship's going to be over because there are a lot of people inside the country that want you out. And guess what? We've got weapons, and we're coming for you. At some point, I mean, they've pushed the Russians out, and now you have Lushenko, who's allowing war criminals to traipse through his country, to go back to Russia, to commit war crimes. At some point, the West needs to support Ukraine enough that they can make that credible threat. And make that threat at Lushenko and start putting people back on their heels.
What we're seeing today out of the reports out of this train station, I was speaking to a senior Biden administration official last night, and we've talked so much about how they flooded the zone with intelligence on the eve of the war. One of their warnings that was sort of overlooked was how Russians would likely commit war crimes and atrocities in their wake. And he said that is what's happening here. This is their playbook.
Right.
Is that we saw not just in Bucha, but other cities. Zelensky said there's another suburb of Kyiv where the early reports are it's worse than Bucha, the situation there, and now this targeting a train station where there are people simply trying to flee the region, and reports, I mean, this is obviously a fluid situation, a lot of children there who are among the victims, and in fact a rocket found nearby in Russian written on it for the children. Unexploded munitions.
You know, Willie, again, here's the miscalculation. Seriously, the miscalculations, I can't even begin to count the miscalculations Vladimir Putin's made. It really, when Donald Trump has said so many things that are wrong, so many false things, spread so much information. Maybe the dumbest thing he's ever said, though, is that Vladimir Putin is brilliant. He is the opposite of brilliant. He's made his life worse in every single way, or at least Russia's. And again, the huge miscalculation here is we committed war crimes in Grozny, we won. We committed war crimes in Aleppo, we won. We're going to commit. We shoot down civilian airliners. Nobody does anything to us. We're going to go in. We're going to commit war crimes again. They're not going to do anything. Well, the West is responding, and we will continue to respond. He just doesn't seem to get it. I'm sorry, I said Barack Obama's name. That Barack Obama is not president anymore. Joe Biden is. Donald Trump is not president anymore. Joe Biden is. Nobody's looking into those eyes saying, you've got, I looked at his soul, he's a great guy. Yeah, we've got a guy there that said, you're soulless, Vlad. And he's treating him that way. Still not getting it. He will. But it may be too late.
And if the goal is to break the spirit of the Ukrainian people, as Richard said, it's having the opposite impact every time he does. I mean, this is pure evil. Let's be clear and call it what it is. If you're attacking a train station where families are trying to escape to safety, that's evil. If you're preventing humanitarian convoys from going into Mariupol to get food, water, medical supplies, that's evil. The scenes out of Bucha are evil. Bombing maternity hospitals, that's evil. And now, in what could be a rare break from Russian propaganda, Vladimir Putin's press secretary is admitting at least to significant loss of Russian troops in this war.